Today is Foundation Friday. I love foundation, you guys. It is my favorite thing to review. Out of everything that I review, foundation is just my everything. It has my heart and soul. I love foundation. I am a firm believer that if your skin looks amazing, then the rest of your makeup will just be beautiful. And so I feel like foundation is such an important part about our everyday routine. And so I'm on the hunt to try to find those really good foundations out there. I'm almost 40, so I really can't wear those super matte foundations. I like more of the radiant, more natural type mattes. When I wear a super matte foundation, it just goes down in my wrinkles and it makes me look old and a little bit yucky, and I don't like it. Yeah, so I try to stay away from super matte foundations. So today I am reviewing the new Beauty Blender Bounce Foundation. I wasn't going to review this product, and I had announced, I think last week or the week before in one of my videos, saying that I wasn't going to review it because of the shade range. As you guys can see, I will pop the picture up here. That shade range is bad. I pulled this picture from Trendmood's Instagram. Now, Trendmood posted this picture. Trendmood was accused of putting a filter on the image and making those shades not look right. The employee that runs Beauty Blender's social media platforms, so they were basically saying that those bottom row shade ranges were not really Oompa Oompa Orange, okay? So I'm like, all right, well, maybe they're not. Maybe I'm gonna give them a chance. Maybe I'll wait to see the shade range for myself just to see if that bottom row isn't all orange, because here's the thing. We cannot allow brands to create 32 shades and only 5 or 6 of those 32 shades are for a deeper skin tone. Because then I did hear that the owner of Beauty Blender is Latino, and she wanted to create a wide range of shades for Latina women. She feels like sometimes they're left out. She wanted to focus on the medium skin tone range. I understand that. That is her culture. That's who she is. I love that. Let's go back to Rihanna. She's like African American and like Jamaican. So when she created Fenty, she thought, you know what? I am going to create a really nice wide range for all of my African American sisters who have deeper skin tones that struggle trying to find those shades. But guess what? She didn't leave me out, and she didn't leave the super fair out. Like, she had enough shades for the fair, the medium, and the deep. And that shade range was phenomenal. We were all blown away by that shade range, right? So Rihanna didn't leave anybody out. I think it's great that they wanted to focus on her culture, but don't leave everybody out in the process. So I wasn't going to review this product. Bottom line, the shade range was trash. But when I announced that on my channel, I had, oh my gosh, you guys, my phone blew up with so many people sending me personal messages on Instagram and Snapchat begging me to review the Beauty Blender foundation. I've never had that many subscribers reach out to me wanting me to review any product, let alone a foundation. So I was like, wow, there are a lot of my subscribers that want to see how I feel about this foundation. What should I do? I was a little bit conflicted. So I did post on Instagram and I did a poll, and I wanted to get a screenshot of it, you guys, but I got caught up in dinner that night and completely spaced it when it went off. But the last time I seen it, it'd been up for about 22 hours, and it was 66% wanted me to review it. I posted a poll on Twitter. That one, there wasn't as many votes. The one on Instagram had like 300 votes. There was 27 votes on the Twitter poll, and there was 52% didn't want me to review it and 48 wanted me to review it. So the poll obviously on Instagram just completely exploded, and everybody wanted me to review this product. So I went ahead and decided to do it, but I will address the shade range. The shade range is trash. Even if I like this foundation, I will not support it. You won't see me using it. You won't see me putting it in my description box. You won't see me talking about it until they are inclusive. They left out the lighter skin tones and the deeper skin tones. And it's just not, it's not acceptable. So I chose the shade 3.45 in this foundation, and it is described as a medium plus with neutral undertone. I do think that it's a little bit gray, and as I apply it, you will see, I mean, I can see the gray tint on my skin right now, but I tried to make it work by warming up my skin with a nice bronzer. So I was thinking that the medium plus was maybe just a little bit more on the tan side because I have a little bit of a tan. I wear medium with neutral undertone, but this one is on the extreme gray side. Like, whew, I know that neutral undertone foundations do have kind of a gray tint. This one was on a whole other level. Let's get into the description about this foundation. Now, it is pretty much sold out. Out of 34 shades, there are only 11 shades on Sephora available. Let's read the description. So this Bounce foundation, I love the packaging. Like I said in my tutorial, I'm obsessed with the packaging. It is $40 for 30 mils for 1 fluid ounce. It is supposed to be a full coverage. It's for sensitive, normal, combination, and oily skin. It is a weightless liquid whip foundation with a multi-dimensional velveteen matte finish that wears up to 24 hours. The best foundation is the one you can't see at all. With a bare skin feel yet completely full coverage, this revolutionary weightless whipped liquid glides and bounces easily, so it never looks cakey or fake no matter how little or how much you layer on. Developed with an exclusive high-speed hyper whip process. Now, I do like how it has this little, beauty blender mark right here. This is my beauty blender. It just is really cute. You can kind of just set your beauty blender on top of it. I love the packaging. I just wish the shade range was better because I think that this foundation would have been a crazy hit. I think they could have completely knocked it out of the ballpark and been one of the best foundation launches of 2018. But because they left out such the lighter skin tones and the deeper skin tones, it was a kind of an epic fail. But for those of you guys out there that want to know about this, this video is for you. I'm done talking, you guys. Like, I've talked your ears off. You guys are done, right? You're ready to see me apply it. You're ready to see how I like it. I know you are. You're done hearing me. I get it. I feel you. I'm tired of hearing myself talk. So let's just jump right into the tutorial. Later on, I'm going to do a midday check-in, and then later on this evening, I will come back for my final thoughts. So I will see you guys then. So let's get applying this foundation. Now, I struggled choosing the shade range just because there was so many like in between all those shades. I have so many shades to choose from. If they're slightly off, like I would rather a shade have neutral enough colors to really work with the skin tone. And so, I don't know, I struggle with choosing from that many shades, and I don't know if I got the right one. We'll see. So I'm just gonna put on some of my Bobbi Brown. This is my Vitamin Enriched face base. This stuff is really, really hydrating, and a little bit goes a long way. That's the reason why I use a tip of a spoolie to go down in there. This is what the packaging looks like. I do like having this little lock so that you can lock it in place, and when you're traveling or whatever, nothing can push down and make a mess. I love that. I do admit that the packaging is genius and it's very innovative. For me, the packaging is everything, and I kind of hope that this is what the future holds for foundation and stuff like that. Before I start putting it on, I'm going to go ahead and use my Elcie spray. This, I feel like, locks the moisture in. This is the Hydra enhancer, and I really, really like it. I'm just going to use a beauty blender. Typically, I like to use a brush and then smooth it out with a beauty blender, but because this was developed and created by a beauty blender, I know that the product was probably developed to apply with a beauty blender. I've seen some people do this. I've seen some people apply it different ways. I'm just going to do it like this. I'm just going to put a couple of pumps like that, and I'm just going to go down in here like this and pick it up and start bouncing on my face. It's gray. Shade range was just very confusing for me. It really was. It was really hard. I can already tell it's going to wash me out. Hopefully once I get like bronzer and stuff on, I will be able to work it. But I will say it blends out like a dream. It's just the shade that's bad. Now that was 3 pumps. One reason why I don't like applying with a beauty blender is because it soaks up the product. So I put 3 pumps on that, and those 3 pumps are gone, and all I did was this side. I do use a lot of more expensive foundations, so I like to conserve my foundation. I don't like to waste it, and I feel like the beauty blender just soaks it all up. I'm kind of liking this. Now I'm going to use my Elcie sponge and just really kind of work this in. It doesn't have any product on it. Sometimes when I feel like I'm building up a little bit in certain areas, I'll take a clean beauty blender or sponge. This is the Velvet Sponge from Elcie, my favorite. And I'll really kind of pounce it in and just really try to pick up any extra product. I don't mind this. Like I don't mind the finish of it. I can feel it kind of drying up on the skin. It's almost like I can feel it kind of set down now. And I wouldn't call it full coverage, but I'm not going to try to build this up to a full coverage just because, you guys, this is not the right shade. And the thicker I get, the more I apply, the more I'm going to have to really blend it in. If you have the right shade of foundation, you can go in with more product to really work it into the skin and build it up. But if you don't have the right shade, I don't recommend it, because the thicker the foundation is, the worse it's gonna look if it's not the right shade. Now I just applied my concealer. This is the Tarte Creaseless Concealer. Okay, I got my concealer blended in, and I kind of feel like this kind of drank up all of the moisture. Like I feel like it's kind of locking the moisture in my skin, but I noticed with foundations that do that, it lasts a long time. So we'll see. I'm gonna put on my bronzer from Hourglass. This is in the shade Radiant Light. I gotta go in heavy with the bronzer because this foundation is just too gray. I'm gonna go ahead and throw some blush on. This is the MAC and Patrickstarrr collaboration. This is in the shade I'm Not Blushing, and it kind of has like this half peach, half bronzer type deal, and I kind of just go into that peach shade and pop that on the cheeks. I love this blush. It's so pretty. Okay, I'm really trying to work that in, but right now it looks pretty good. I do kind of like the finish of it. I like how it's looking. It is a little bit cakey kind of around my textured areas. Like it really wants to... I have a dried up kind of zit right here, and it's really grabbing to that zit, which is never a good look for anybody. I don't really like the way it's looking around my mouth. I like the way it looks head on. I just don't like the way it's looking around my mouth. So I'm gonna go ahead and go about my day. I'll come back and do like a midday check-in, probably around maybe 3 or 4 o'clock. And then I'll come back later on this evening for my final thoughts. But currently it is 9:37 in the morning, and I will be back in a little bit for my first check-in. So I'll see you guys then. Okay, I am back. This is my midday check-in. It is almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I've had the foundation on for about 6.5 hours. And so far, I don't mind this foundation. I do think it looks really, really pretty. And I do think that it is laying over my wrinkles really nice, you guys. Like, I wish it was the right color because this is a pretty foundation. As far as the finish, I wish that I could have built it up in certain areas, but it does look really, really nice over pores. This foundation is really pretty over pores, you guys. Like, it just makes my skin look really flawless right here in this area. I'm kind of impressed with the way that that looks. I've lost some coverage around my mouth. I still don't like the way it looks around my mouth. I'm gonna bring you guys closer in a minute so you guys can see what I'm talking about. This is probably where I have the most texture so far as I've aged. I do kind of feel like it looks a little bit weird around my mouth, like it did when I first applied it, but I'm gonna bring you guys closer. Okay, so we are really up close and personal now. This is what the foundation is looking like. Now, like I said, I would have liked to have built up coverage right around my forehead, but for applying it lightly, I don't know what's right there. I just got my hair done. Can you see all the nice highlights? But as you can see, like right here looks really smooth, especially like right here. My gosh, that foundation looks really pretty right there. But see how it's just like a little bit cakey around my mouth right here. But I think because it looks so gray, it's kind of building up. And I do have some texture. I have 2 zits right here. And so I do have some texture, and I don't really like the way it's laying over the texture, but I don't like the way it looks around my mouth. I just filmed an entire video of this makeup look, so it'll be up on my channel next week. It's really, really pretty. As far as the product itself, I'm kind of liking it. So far, I'm liking it, but you know, it's around that 4 or 5 hour mark that everything starts tanking. I'll come back around the 10 o'clock mark and give you guys my full honest thoughts on it. Then hopefully it doesn't tank. We'll see. So I will see you guys in a little bit. So I'm back for my final check-in. It is 11 o'clock at night. I'm completely exhausted. I'm ready to take this makeup off, but I wanted to come down here really quick and kind of give you guys a rundown on my feelings on this foundation. Okay, so I've lost a lot of coverage throughout the day, but I do kind of like this foundation. It kind of wears off in a very natural way. Sometimes when you have a foundation that loses its coverage, it kind of gets a little bit blotchy. This one kind of just gradually fades, and I kind of like that. I wish I could have built up coverage. I might try it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this with me on vacation, and then I'm going to try it and just kind of play around with it and like build it up and see how it works. You know, sometimes with first impressions, it's always hard to really say, plus it was so gray, I was afraid of packing it on way too thick and then having it being really, really gray, but it did eventually warm up to my skin once I put my bronzers on, and as I've worn it throughout the day, it warmed up to my skin and it wasn't as gray as it was when I first applied it. I kind of have mixed feelings about it. If you take the shade range out of it, if I had to rate the foundation on a scale from 1 to 5, 5 being the best or like my holy grail, like 5 being like my Dior Backstage. I'm loving that foundation, by the way. I would probably give this maybe a 3.5. I don't know that I would go all the way to a 4, just because I do feel like it even though I got something black right here. Oh my gosh, you guys. But I still like the finish of this. If I can figure out a way to build up the coverage based on the shade, because this was such a light coat that I lost coverage right around the 5-hour mark. And so for me, the foundation didn't last as long because I didn't have the right coverage in the beginning that I needed. This is supposed to be a full coverage. It doesn't say medium to full. It doesn't say medium buildable. It says it's a full coverage. Now, for me, when I think of full coverage, I think of like the Dior Skin Forever or the NARS Natural Radiant. That is like full coverage foundation. With this, I didn't get full coverage with just one layer. This is a foundation that you have to build to get that fuller coverage. One day is kind of hard with this foundation to determine whether I really like it or not. I think I am going to take this on the boat with me and kind of play around with it and wear it throughout the days and see how it performs, and then maybe let you guys know on an upcoming Foundation Friday. But right now as it stands, I did lose quite a bit of coverage, but my skin looks really healthy. Like I just have this natural radiant glow. Like I love my face right here. Like even though I lost a lot of coverage around my nose and stuff, like I love the way this looks on my forehead. Absolutely love it. It just looks so beautiful and radiant. I love it over pores. Like probably out of all the foundations that I have tested out in a long time, this is probably my favorite over the pores, but I don't know if I like it over my texture. It did kind of stick and cling to a few dry patches that I have here around my chin. I like this, but then I don't. It's like I'm on the fence about this, you guys. Okay, so up close, this is what it's looking like. Now, see, I lost a lot of coverage around here, but it faded off in a natural way. So it's almost like I can't really be mad at it. And again, I didn't get the best coverage up here, but I didn't dare build it. And so that's the one reason why I didn't. But see how like perfect this is? And I just love the way it lays over pores. Like, I don't know where that black spot is. Who knows? But I love the way it lays over pores. If you guys have, like, if your biggest problem with your face is enlarged pores, you might really like this foundation. If you typically buy your foundation like I do in a neutral range, then you really need to make sure that you are figuring out that you are true neutral. If you are warm, I would buy it more on the warm side. If you are more cool, I would buy it on the more cool side. If you are a true neutral, you'll be fine. But for me, I lean towards the warmer side during the summer, but I can still totally pull off the neutral. With this foundation, it's such an exact neutral that it's like off. Do you know what I'm saying? It's different than what we're used to, because most of the time neutral will really work well, but not so much on this one. I am going to do a few swatches up against some of the other foundations that I have, just so that you guys can see what that looks like. Okay, so this is the foundation ranges. This one right here is the Beauty Blender one, and you can see it's really kind of gray against all these other warm tones. So this is the Beauty Blender one. I kind of ran out of room right here. I wanted to start with Beauty Blender. Anyway, this is the Beauty Blender one. This one right here is the Bye Bye Foundation This one right here in the shade medium. You can tell there's a clear difference between those two shades. This one is the Hourglass Vanish Stick Foundation in the shade beige right here. And then this shade right here is the Estee Lauder Double Wear in the shade 3N1 right here. And still, that one is more on my grayer side, but this one still is really gray. This one right here is the Dior Backstage Foundation. That is my closest match to my skin. That is in number 3N. That is literally my closest match. It is so stunning on my skin. And then this one right here is the Huda Beauty in Butter Pecan 330N. See, again, that's a medium with neutral undertone. You can definitely see how those two are just totally different on the neutral. And then this one right here is the Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion Foundation in the shade 3N1 Buff. That is what that one is right here. And then finally we have the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow Foundation in the shade, this is the 204 Natural Buff. Now, I would say, in my opinion, those two are the closest match. If you have worn the L'Oreal Pro Glow Foundation in that shade, as it dries, you can see I'm putting it right up top from it. If you like the shade 204 Natural Buff, you would probably like this shade. It's pretty close to it's a pretty close match. But other than that, that's probably the closest foundation that I have to that shade. And I don't wear this one very often because it's definitely way too light for me. And it does go on gray. I remember wearing it and it was really, really gray. So those are the foundation shade ranges, just so that you guys know that if you're a medium with neutral undertone, so it is extremely neutral. So I hope that gave you guys kind of a clearer picture about the shade range that I was dealing with earlier and why it was so hard for me to make this work. I do think I was able to pull it off with such a warmer bronzer, but it was a struggle. Don't forget to come right back here next Friday because I'm going to be reviewing the new It Cosmetics Oil-Free Matte Poreless Full Coverage Cream. Yes. So that'll be up on my channel next Friday. I'm really excited to test this one out, and I'm really hoping that I have the right shade because I bought neutral medium. So I'm fingers crossed that it is not super gray. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you again for all the love and the support. I really hope you guys have a fantastic day filled with love, happiness, and joy. I love you guys so much. Bye.